24th, and then we're going to find another spot. We also have what we call second Fridays of the month, where business owners in the community can come out and network, talk about stuff. We're going to have guest speakers that will help build your business, give you information on how to build your businesses, how to get them started, take them to the next level. That we just had our first one last Friday, and we had about 20 business owners out. So those are the things that we're working on. And now I would just like to turn it over to Charles or Ava. It's Ava. So days is different, but it's still exchange ideas.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Good, hopefully holding on to a sunny afternoon. Just wanted to say thank you for coming out and welcome. My name is Ava St. Clair. I've been in the neighborhood for about 7 years now. I actually moved here from South Loop. And I love South Shore. I think I will keep going. Love the South Shore. And I'm really happy to see everyone here. If you know a neighbor, if you have a neighbor who is not here with you today, think about it. I will. Throw your eyes up in the back of your head. Think about it. The neighbor isn't here. Make sure that you tell that neighbor to be here next month, this time, Saturday. Also, let that neighbor know that on Facebook, the Planning Coalition is alive and well all day, every day, 24 hours a day. There's a lot of community announcements going on. We tell everybody about programs and resources that are available to people on the southeast side. And we're also letting people know about jobs and opportunities available for folks who want to kind of get out there and get back into the job. So that's me. I'm Ava. I'm going to pass it over to Charles. Thank you.
Okay, I want to thank you guys for being here. Moving forward with exchange ideas as we enter the election season, there will be no commandeering of the mic. So if you're running for office, we appreciate it, we respect it, but please do not try to commandeer the mic and go off on the 10 or 15 or 30 minutes, because that video is doing for what we're doing with exchange ideas. Has everyone got that index card? We passed out index cards. And you can write your question for the auditor on your index card, and which will be put in the box and it will be answered by April. Raise your hand if you need the index card. And also make sure everyone signs in. Okay, born on the south side of Chicago and raised on the south side, Alderman Bob Fiorelli is the child of a Polish-American mother and an Italian immigrant father. He went to St. Anthony's High School and St. Anthony's Grammar School and Mendel High School. He's the leader of the Progressive Caucus in the Chicago City Council. And he says it's time for the citizens of Chicago to have an ally who believes in them. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for Alderman Bob Fiorelli.
Thank you. It is loud. They said it's a little bit louder than the other microphone. First of all, I do want to thank everybody for coming out here. I think this is great and informed, and tight communities make safe communities across the board. I think everybody knows a week ago I announced that I'm running for mayor. But I'm running for mayor because I love this city. I grew up in this city. I'm from Roseland. I was born in Roseland Hospital. I spent a lot of time taking the bus down, going to Rainbow Beach, and having a lot of fun growing up at Rainbow Beach. Taking the buses from my house all the way at 119th and State Street over there. So I know the community. I've been in this community. I love this community. You know, the last 4 years that we've seen the mayor has come in here, and I hear it all the time. We need a mayor who will represent us, who will listen to us, who will be for us. I believe I'm the type of person. I've done that in the city council. I stood up for everybody, not only people in my ward, but across this city. You know, when Ron came into town 4 years ago, what did he say? He was going to be tough. But what did we get? Tough love. You know, that's not the way to run a city. We don't need to be dividing our people. We don't need to be ignoring the needs of the majority of the citizens of this city. You know, we've got a lot of issues on the plate, and I know you've got a lot of questions. issues, but among them, we know what the issues are. Crime, education, equitable economic development, and how we deal with city finances. I think I can go on and speak for quite a long time. You know how elected officials are. But I'd rather hear from you. I'd rather hear questions from you, comments on how we go about this. I will tell you, though, that I am concerned with the community here. I mean, we've got great streets, We've got from Drexel, Jet, South Shore, Exchange, you name it. But when they built this whole new fantasy development over here, and when it gets developed, because I think it's a long way off, and a lot of people are talking to you, but they haven't built yet houses here in the city of Chicago. I worry about this end of the community, because if we don't improve our infrastructure here, our streets, our sidewalks, our lighting, we will be at a competitive disadvantage. Everybody who lives here will be at a competitive disadvantage to the new homes over there. So we got to make sure we maintain property values. We can go down a lot of streets over here, and we see the foreclosure crisis that the big banks have caused us, not only on our homes, but our commercial developments. So we need to be ready when they start building, because everybody has to maintain their property values here, that live in the area, that maintain the area. We need to uplift the whole area when building and commercial development goes on. So we can start from there. I'm ready to take the questions, or however you want to proceed.
So I've got the first question here. Do you support unions?
Union, yes, I do. Well, it depends. Yes, I do support unions. I've been a friend of the unions. We agree on a lot of policies. However, I have the ability, and I have the ability sometimes to say no on some of their issues too. And I think they respect me, and we're friends. I mean, as the alderman and as the mayor, when I am the mayor, I have to deal with representing everybody in the city. I'm concerned with what what's happening to our municipal employees, our police, our fire, across the board, our laborers. I mean, we're here we've got to support what we promised them, and we've got to live by our promises of what we told them.
Next question, and there are no names on these, so just honestly. Many talk about bringing businesses back to South Shore. In order to secure business commitments, we need to know why they left and haven't returned. How would you address those questions?
Well, I do think that's the crux of what we're dealing with. But I also do believe that the banks had a large issue in terms of what happened to our community and the foreclosures that happened. There was a lot of movement. In 2007, I voted against this is my first year in the city council. I voted against the Daley's budget at that time. And I voted against it because it included a property increase. But I also pointed out that there were a lot of wards, primarily in black and brown areas, that were having significant foreclosure rates for the first 6 months. In 2006, we had 10,300 foreclosures across the city of Chicago. In 2007, by the first 6 months, we had 14,000. And on top of it, the credit crisis was starting, and the credit freeze was happening. So there's a lot of factors that go in, but the question is not only why people leave, and when they couldn't refinance their homes, and a lot of it was the 3-year arms. I don't know if anybody refinanced their house during that period of time, but it got to be very difficult. And they were all selling these quick items, like a 3-year arm, a 5-year arm, a 7-year arm. You just have to pay your interest only. You know your house is going to go up in value, so when you sell it 30 years from now or any short time, well, that kind of scheme that led to the bundling that we had was the cause of a lot of our problems in our communities, and especially here because we had a lot of new residents moving in during the last 10 years.
Next question. Are you concerned about the closing of schools and displacement of African American schools on the south and west side of Chicago? If so, how do you plan to reverse this trend that hurts our communities?
Well, I don't know if everybody heard the question about the closure of the schools, especially the south and west side. Where do I stand to help reverse this trend? First of all, I got to tell you, I am for an elected school board. I think an elected school board will represent the diversities of our city, and we can hear from everybody. Secondly, I do want to say there were closures in and around my area. I fought for the schools. I appeared at the hearings that the hearing officers had, and I think that all of the schools I testified, I may be wrong, there's one of them, about not closing. We presented evidence to say why they shouldn't close those schools. And the hearing officers agreed with us. They agreed with us. But the school board refused to listen to their own hearing officers. Some of them were former federal judges and judges from our community. And so, and yes, we had a population decline, but I think we need to put good resources into our communities. The neighborhood schools are really anchors of our communities. 30,000 students have been displaced, and now they have to go to schools outside of their neighborhoods. If those of you have ever heard my testimony before the Board of Education that day when they were having the vote on the closure, I have to tell you, and I think, not that I got a standing ovation, and I think Fox recorded it all and they put it online, because it was, I had no intention that day of going to the Board of Education and testifying. I had an event up north. My better half, she was ill, and I wanted to check in on her, and I called her as I was leaving, and I was just going to check in and see how she's doing. She's never sick, and so it was an unusual day, and she was listening to the whole testimony before the Board of Education. And she said, oh my goodness, you should hear your colleagues on what they're saying. And they're so provincial, and they're talking about keeping this school open and that school open. But they're not really advocating anything citywide. So I came home real quick, checked on her, and I will tell you, we made 5 days before and 3 days before I said, I am not going to testify, because I thought it was a charade. And what happened then, I grabbed some notes, I went over to the Board of Education, and I testified. And you can hear my testimony, it's online, we should probably put it on our own statement. But when I was done, I did receive a standing ovation, because I think we need to represent our communities. And what's good for the Gold Coast is good for the far south side. What's good for the Gold Coast is good for the west side. And we need to find ways to give our kids the best resources. And how do we do it? By getting the best teachers. And that retains students, that retains communities, and that's what makes solid communities.
What will you do to address homelessness, especially youth homelessness, and do you support Plan 2.0? I'm sorry, I should repeat that. What will you do to address homelessness, especially youth homelessness, and do you support Plan 2.0?
And do I support what?
Plan 2.0.
Well,
What's Plan 2.0?
yeah.
Plan 2.0 is the newest plan in homelessness. This is the second plan. There was a plan made under Bailey, and this plan was made under Ron.
Well, first of all, I am concerned with especially youth homelessness. Why? Because it affects all of our kids in our public